Naruto had a hard time sleeping that night, but he could hardly be blamed. He was officially a ninja. On top of that, he would meet his new teammates tomorrow, but he had a bad feeling about that. He tried to ignore it, which was easier done than said. The feeling was easily buried beneath the excitement he was feeling. Over the years, his body had an internalized clock, which was very beneficial health-wise, but unfortunately did not allow him to sleep more than 7 hours, no matter how much he wanted to. At 5 in the morning, his eyes would snap open by themselves, his body having sufficiently rested itself and ready for the day. As was the case today. Which is why he was so confused when he woke up at his regular time of 5 in the morning, not feeling any tiredness from the events of last night. While not complaining at the lack of tiredness, irritation slowly took hold of him, making him frown deeply. By all means, he should have easily slept till 9 in the morning. One late arrival to class wouldn't hurt him at all. No use whining about it. Best start my day with the usual, he mentally grumbled and got out of bed. Quickly finishing his morning rituals and dressing up, he took 2 bananas and gobbled them up. He figured his irritation would be gone by the end of his morning run. Inside his mind, Kurama was trying to keep his sniggers from echoing in Naruto's mind. He had initially decided to let Naruto rest because of his late night, but his sense of mischief decided to manifest itself and he changed his decision. He let a larger amount of his chakra than usual in Naruto's body, just enough so Naruto would wake up at his usual time instead of his natural 7 hours. Stepping outside, Naruto felt the slightly chilly air of the morning. The sky was still dark, but it was perfect for him. A sudden thought struck to him, how about I run with my resistance seals off today? Get used to the normal speed. What do you say, Kurama? Kurama gave a yawn that reverberated through Naruto's mind. He forcefully clenched his jaw to prevent his own from happening. Kurama replied, it's a good idea. You should get used to running without seals every once in a while, Naruto. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to control your own speed. You would just speed past the place you intend to stop. Naruto nodded, agreeing with Kurama. He wondered if his father had the same problems, but pushed those thoughts aside. Best get used to it gradually, he thought. Making a ram seal, he lowered the resistance seal on his body from level 12 to 6. The change was immediate, he felt really light and like the amount of energy in his body had doubled. He started running and was surprised at his own speed. Kurama had been frighteningly accurate. He was currently running at a speed which children would call close to sprinting, and the worrying part about the whole thing was, he wasn't even controlling it. At the end of this run, I will get used to this, he determinedly thought. It took him almost 5 rounds of the village to get used to it, and by the end of 5 rounds, he was comfortably running at the speed he usually ran, not having any feeling of being tired at all. I wonder if this feeling can be compared to freedom, he thought with a smile. Running without a care in the world, feeling as if nothing is holding you back. Eventually, he decided to sprint all out, and once he started feeling tired, he would run without any resistance, getting used to running without it. After another 1.5 lap of sprinting, he began panting and figured that the time was right to release the seal. He was just about to do it when he saw something ahead of him. He was closing on a person wearing a, oh God, is that a spandex jumpsuit? He was very much grossed out by the sight and figured overtaking the person was in his best interest. Instantly releasing the seal, he shot forward once more, having not increased his pace by himself at all. He was soon running neck to neck with a kid probably his own age who had a shining, bowl-cut hairstyle and huge eyebrows which looked more like caterpillars. Bandages wrapped up his forearms and his Hittite wrapped as a belt. He also wore orange leg warmers. The kid glanced towards him and flashed a brilliant smile of white teeth shining like metal. He spoke in a loud voice, a very youthful morning to you. May I know who you are? Naruto rose an eyebrow at the loud voice. Perhaps this is his normal way of speaking, he mused. Somehow, a quiet voice did not suit this kid. And what is with the youthful morning? Outward he said, good morning. It is nice to see someone else running at this time. My name is Naruto, by the way. He expected the usual frown of disgust and hate, but he did not expect the kid to react, my name is Rock Lee, Naruto-kun. You seem like a very youthful person, running at this speed in the early morning. You are clearly basking in the springtime of youth. Naruto stared at him as if he was speaking an entirely different language, which he probably was because he didn't understand a word of what he said. Inside his mind, Kurama had kept his eyes shut tightly. He had already scarred his mind by seeing Lee. He did not want to go insane from seeing him in motion. Naruto did the only thing he could without upsetting the boy. Hey, Lee. How about we talk later? I'm in a bit of hurry. Saying that, he sprinted ahead at full speed, leaving Lee to taste his dust. He felt bad about leaving him like that because there was a chance that that boy would be his future comrade, but he wanted to get used to his mannerisms slowly. The youth coming from Lee terrified him. Lee stared at the dust with wide eyes. Stars seemed to twinkle around him. What youth? To be faster than me with my weights off. Guy-sensei will be so surprised when he hears of this. Shouting this, he ran off in his own cloud of dust. Naruto ran full sprint until he reached his house. Climbing up the stairs, he thought about what he had observed while talking to Lee. While the bandages covered almost whole of his forearms, the fingertips were exposed. And they were scratched and bruised, heavily. That indicated that Lee trained his ass off every day. He also sensed Lee's chakra, which was so low that someone would mistake him for a civilian. Which probably indicated that Lee was running on pure speed, without any chakra. That meant Lee was a pure taijutsu-type fighter. The amount of hard work it must have taken to achieve that speed. Lee has my utmost respect for his hard work, he thought with admiration. Kurama agreed, a genius of hard work, he truly is. Taking a quick shower, he dressed in his clothes from yesterday and quickly ate a cup of instant ramen, justifying it as a good day and easily ignoring Kurama's exasperated shake of head and adjusted his hitai 8 beneath his left shoulder. Taking a final look in the mirror, he nodded to himself and left his apartment. Hopping on the rooftops gave him a rare sense of thrill, which not many shinobi felt because of it being unusual for them. But many shinobi did not perform tricks on the rooftops as well. The flips and every sort of cartwheel he could think of were performed with the highest level of precision. His every landing, flip, roll was perfectly executed. The people below stared at him, some with the usual glares, while a few of them had expressions of awe. It was rare for them to see performing such tricks on rooftops with such expertise. Of course, Naruto was too lost in the thrill to notice. Before long he had reached the academy. As he walked through the gates, a sense of apprehension gripped him. A familiar bad feeling from the last night gripped him again. With every step, the feeling seemed to intensify a little. He shook his head a little, trying to shake the feeling off. Today will go well, he assured himself. Hiruzen looked at the jonin assembled in his office. Each of them would be assigned a team of genin. He had to choose carefully who received which team. The future of Konoha had to be handled extremely carefully. He glanced at the jonin standing at the right-hand side end of the line. Kakashi was sort of glaring at the old Hokage. Usually, he would be late to the meeting by a good 3 hours unless he was receiving a B-rank mission or higher, but the Hokage had threatened to burn his Ika collection, even his hidden collection. So he was forced to attend on time. But that did not prevent him from glaring at the Hokage. Hiruzen distributed the first 6 teams and asked them to leave, before turning his attention to the more important teams. Team 7 would be led by you, Kakashi, he said, giving the jonin a nod. Team 8's leader would be Kurenai. Since Team 9 is still in circulation under Guy, Team 10 would be led by Asuma. Kakashi, stay behind. I have to talk to you. As the other Jonin left, there was a noticeable change in Kakashi's posture. The lazy look was gone from his eye, replaced with seriousness. He stood straight with his hands behind his back and back straight, looking at the Hokage. What do you want from me, Hokage-sama? Hiruzen's seriousness of the topic was clear in his voice. Kakashi, you have been given the most important team of all. Since Sasuke Uchiha is on this team, the council will probably force you to pay more attention to him, teach him the ways of Sharingan and all your jutsu. But you will not play any favorites. Is that understood? His voice was like an army commander at the end. Kakashi nodded. Hi, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen then motioned for the ANBU to leave the room. Once the room was completely secure, he leaned forward on his desk, chin resting on his hands. He suddenly seemed to switch from a serious personality to a weary one. Kakashi, Naruto will be on this team as well. That single sentence seemed to bring out Kakashi's memories that he did not want to remember. Memories of his sensei, memories of how he failed to protect Naruto from the villagers. I will not fail this time. You can count on me, Minato-sensei, he thought with resolution. Hiruzen continued in his grave tone, the council will probably tell you to ignore him as much as you can. But you will not do that to the only person who is connected to Minato, would you? Kakashi shook his head and spoke with steel in his voice, no, Hokage-sama. I am astounded that you would even say that. Hiruzen, however, was unfazed by the outburst. I had to check, Kakashi. I'm sorry for saying that. Kakashi nodded absent-mindedly, his mind already making plans on how to deal with his new team. A thought occurred to him and he asked Hiruzen, is there anything I should know about my team? Hiruzen leant back in his seat, taking a deep breath and blowing the smoke out. I could give you the files of your students, but observing firsthand is a better way. Won't you agree, Kakashi? Kakashi seemed to be in thought for a moment and then I smiled. Perhaps, this time he will be able to correct his mistakes. Entering the classroom, he saw that only half of those who had graduated were there. Eyes roaming, he spotted his friends Shikamaru, Chuji, Shino, Hinata sitting in their usual places. Shikamaru was dozing off as usual, Chuji was eating potato chips, Shino was examining his bugs and Hinata had turned red as soon as she saw him. She began poking her index fingers together, avoiding eye contact. He also saw other kids who had graduated, playfully shoving each other, talking about everything and nothing at the same time. He was about to go to his usual seat in the back when he sensed a familiar chakra approaching. Turning to the door, he narrowed his eyes. Sasuke Uchiha had entered the classroom. He looked very different from yesterday, wearing a navy blue high-collared short-sleeved shirt and white shorts with holster tied on his right thigh. He also wore white arm warmers and hitae tied on his forehead. He still had his usual air of arrogance and smugness around him. His posture carried confidence, which was clouded by arrogance. His coal-black eyes roamed the classroom until they settled on him. Naruto saw some anger seep into them, still sore about yesterday. Sasuke, he thought. Sasuke marched up to him, his hands in his pockets, implying that he had no intention of attacking Naruto. He stopped a feet away from him and looked in his eyes with almost a burning intensity, his narrowed eyes showing that he would be keeping an eye on him from now on. Naruto narrowed his own azure eyes in return, the cold intensity of them as cold as ice in response to Sasuke's fire. His eyes conveyed his response very clearly, bring it, Sasuke. They both were so lost in their glaring contest that Sasuke failed to notice one of the kids stumbling towards his back. He bumped into his back, shouting out a sorry, before joining his friend's back. He did not notice the consequences of his accidental bump. Naruto's eyes had become as wide as saucers when Sasuke's lips crashed onto his own. He was so stunned from that he just froze on his spot, as did Sasuke, looking into each other's eyes with disbelief. He did not even hear Kurama's loud belly laugh at his situation, so shocked he was having his first kiss stolen from Sasuke of all people. He was even more horrified at the amusement he was feeling. This feels so wrong, on so many levels, he thought with no small amount of panic. Sasuke having thoughts along the same lines. He didn't imagine in his wildest dreams that his first kiss would be stolen by the dobe. Just what did he do to deserve this? All he felt was disgust at feeling a boy's lips on his own. But the shock of the situation had frozen him to his place. This was the scene that Sasuke's most devoted fangirls, Sakura and Ino, along with other fangirls, were greeted to. They both blankly stared at them, not being able to form even full words, wa-ho-. Naruto finally came to his senses and immediately stepped back from his spot, prompting Sasuke to do the same. Naruto rubbed his lips, slowly cleaning them off. Turning furious eyes on the dark-haired boy, he hissed, "What the hell, Kyuso Yaro? Just what gave you the indication that I liked you? Unlike you, I happen to be an avid fan of the opposite sex." Sasuke was taken aback by Naruto's rant for a moment, but was quick to recover. His voice turned downright menacing, "Not that Naruto was intimidated, it was your fault, dobe," he accused, rubbing his lips furiously. Naruto was quick to snark back, "That's my line, team. I'm not the one who suddenly decided to step forward and kiss me." His first kiss went to Sasuke of all people. Oh, the shame. Sasuke stormed to his seat and sat down, slipping back into his daily brooding routine. Naruto silently scoffed and turned away, "Just what is so great about that guy?" He was about to go to his regular seat when he felt it. It was not killing intent, but it felt like he had done something grievously wrong. Turning around, he almost went pale. All the girls of the class were looking like dogs ready to pounce and kill. "Baka Naruto. How dare you steal Sasuke-kun's first kiss like that?" Sakura and Ino were quick to blame him, with the others following. Kurama was still snickering in his mind and Naruto resisted the urge to sigh. Seeing the kunoichis take a threatening step forward, he slid his left leg back, ready to flash step out of here if necessary. He had to find a way to. Everyone settled down. The loud voice of Iruka-sensei was heard in the classroom, but the girls didn't seem to hear it, ganging up on Naruto, who didn't look nervous at all. Iruka saw his favorite student being ganged up on by the kunoichis and put a hand on his face in resignation. "Now what did you do, Naruto?" Feeling the need to save his little brother, he activated his big head no jutsu, "Settle down, you brats." The effect was immediate. All the girls were seated so fast they almost looked like they were teleporting. However, Naruto was immune to Iruka's jutsu for a long time and so, he calmly walked up to his usual seat and sat down, looking out of the window with a bored look. Iruka looked around the room and started his attendance. Aburame Shino. Here. Akimichi Chuji. Here sensei. The roll call continued but Naruto simply wasn't paying attention since his name was last anyways. Uzumaki Naruto. Right here, he waved his hand lazily. His response sounded way cooler than any of his classmates and for this reason, it rattled Sasuke's fangirls. Baka. Sakura stood up and pointed an accusing finger at him, "Stop trying to act cool like Sasuke-kun." Yeah. Her statement was supported by nearly all the fangirls in the room, except Hinata. Naruto, who was still looking outside, turned to face Sakura. "HM? Did you say something?" he asked in an absent-minded tone. Iruka suddenly wondered just where Naruto had met a one-eyed jonin who habitually said the same thing. The girls shrieked and hurled various insults at him, which were easily ignored. Iruka coughed to get the class's attention and when he had it, he started speaking. "You guys are now, officially, ninja of Konoha. But remember, you are simply a genin. The road from here will only be uphill now. You will be now divided in groups of 3, and a jonin sensei will be your teacher." Everyone had different thoughts about this. Ino said to Sakura in a sly tone, I wonder who will be on Sasuke-kun's team. Sakura gave an annoyed glance to her, who knows. However, inner Sakura shouted in her mind, Cha. I'm the one who will be on his team. Sasuke thought with a small amount of irritation, a team of 3? Che. They will only burden me and hold me back. Iruka then began announcing the teams. It took a while but he finally announced Naruto's, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto paid close attention at that, Hirono Sakura, causing a depressed cloud to appear on top of her, I'm on a team with Naruto? Why? Naruto had a more expressive reaction. A purple cloud seemed to form over his head and he banged his head on the table. Fuck my life, he groaned. Many felt sorry for the poor bastard, despite not being his friends. No one deserved Sakura as a teammate. Even Kurama was whispering comforting words such as they could kill her and bury the body. And Uchiha Sasuke, Iruka announced the last name. This time Sakura jumped in joy. Turning around, she flashed a superior smirk at the flabbergasted Ino, who was clenching her fists. Inner Sakura was shouting in joy, Cha. True love always prevails. Shikamaru simple muttered, troublesome. Trying to divert his mind from his recent depression, Naruto listened closely for the other teams. Team 8 was Hinata, Kiba and Shino. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Taking in account that their special traits are not in fighting. If I'm not mistaken, this is a tracking and a backup assault team. Team 10 was announced to be Ino, Shikamaru and Chuji. The legendary Ino Shikacho trio is being formed again. Their fathers were a legendary team themselves, after all. This team has 2 purposes that I can think of. A battle purpose and an information gathering, taking in account Ino's mind techniques, Shikamaru's binding techniques and Chuji as a heavy hitter. Not bad at all, he thought with a smile, impressed with Gigi's choices of team members. That thought process led him to his own team. A tiny frown appeared on his forehead. Sakura doesn't possess any specialties, except her high level of chakra control. Sasuke could be considered a specialist in ninjutsu due to his Sharingan, but that depends on his chakra capacity. He is an expert in shuriken jutsu, which is to be expected considering who his brother was. His taijutsu will grow by leaps too, once he awakens his Sharingan. My specialty would primarily be ninjutsu and fuinjutsu, followed by taijutsu and trap-making. Naruto's frown disappeared as he realized something, so that's how it is. Our team is a primary, heavy assault team. That old man really is something else, he smiled, shaking his head, impressed by the old Hokage. Time passed and one by one, Jonin-sensei came to take their teams away. Team 8 Sensei was a beautiful woman named Kurinai Yuhi and Team 10 Sensei was a large man who looked like a bear and held strong resemblance to Gigi. He introduced himself as Sarutobi Asuma and took his team away. Many hours passed, but there was no sign of Team 7 Sensei. Sasuke kept brooding the whole time, though he was starting to look irritated. Sakura looked close to exploding in anger. Naruto was calmly working on a new chakra-suppressing seal that he could use without delay. He was also keeping his senses open, just in case he sensed their sensei. Almost 3 hours of wait later, Naruto sensed a Jonin-level chakra signature heading their way. Sighing in relief, he sealed away his sealing supplies and got up, a revenge in mind for their tardy sensei. Walking up to the door, he made 4 hand signs and slapped his right palm on top of the door's ceiling. Snickering, he went back to his seat. That was a seal that had successfully worked on Gigi. There was no reason it wouldn't work on their sensei. Sakura and Sasuke were curiously watching Naruto. When Naruto applied his seal, they realized for the first time that Naruto was the tallest member of their team. Sakura asked him, Naruto. What was that, in her usual tone of I'm your mother Naruto. Naruto gave her a blank gaze and said, something that you can't come close to understand, Sakura. Sakura's temper flared and she moved to hit him out of habit, but the door to the classroom opened and all three genin watched with shock as the man who opened it got drenched from head to toe in water. Naruto smirked at that. That was a seal designed to activate when someone's chakra came in direct or indirect contact with it. He could store any element in it. Just because he was playing a prank, water was the best choice. Lightning or fire would be very painful. He turned towards the person who was most likely their Jonin sensei. Kakashi was lost in thought as he finally decided to go to the academy and collect his team. On one hand, there was Sasuke, the last member of the Uchiha clan that was still loyal to the village. Kakashi brought his hand up to the covered left eye. It was his late best friend's, Uchiha Obito's last gift to him before he died. He felt a sort of obligation to his friend to train the last bearer of the Sharingan. On the other hand, there was Naruto, his sensei's son and Kakashi's only remaining tie to his late teacher. The person he had failed to protect from the village's hatred. The Sandaime had made it very clear that Kakashi has until Chunin exams to increase the number of bonds he has in this village. If he doesn't have any bonds, he may very well leave the village and Konoha can't afford to lose its only Jinchuriki. Walking up to the classroom door, he was caught off guard when he was suddenly doused in water. Perplexed, he looked up, hoping to find a bucket, but saw nothing but a seal. Eyes narrowed, he looked around the classroom. Sasuke was looking at him with doubt. Is this guy really a Jonin? Sakura looked apologetic as she bowed. Sorry sensei, it is all Naruto's fault. I tried to stop him. Naruto was simply smirking at the Jonin. With Kurama's help, he had identified the chakra signature as that of Dog, the Anbu who sometimes used to protect him. However, Naruto's I know something you don't smirk definitely put Kakashi on edge. Kakashi was having his own thoughts about the three. Upon seeing Naruto's smirk, he concluded that Naruto most likely used a seal to play the prank. Turning to Sakura, he thought, Sakura tries to protect herself using excuses. Eyes turning to Sasuke, he saw the boy turn his face back towards the window. Sasuke minds his own business. Doesn't seem to accept the other two as comrades. He sighed internally, there is not a single shred of teamwork in this team at all. Outside, he gripped his chin in a mock thinking pose and said in his lazy voice, how do I put this? My first impression of you guys, well, you're a bunch of idiots, he finished with an eye smile. He could literally see the cloud of depression over Sakura and Sasuke's head, but Naruto kept smirking in that annoying manner, not at all fazed by Kakashi's insult. Deciding to move on, he said, meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Kakashi then disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Startled by the sudden exit, Sasuke and Sakura scrambled and rushed to the roof, the latter scampering after the former. Naruto sighed, it was a good thing that he didn't have to hide his skills anymore. Grabbing the edge of the window, he swung his feet onto the wall and leisurely walked up it. Kakashi was as usual, buried nose-deep in his porn when he felt it. Looking down curiously, he contained his surprise on seeing Naruto walk up to him. The boy was displaying a skill that not many people showed before graduating. Yo sensei. Naruto waved with a smile. Kakashi had nothing to say so he waved back, yo. It really made him feel like an idiot. Naruto walked past him and sat down on the steps in front of Kakashi. Just as he sat down, Sasuke and Sakura burst through the door, eyes widening when they saw Naruto had already reached ahead of them and was sitting nonchalantly. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, how did the dobe reach ahead of me? Now that I think about it, I didn't see him following me and Sakura. So how did he get here? Sakura was in a similar state of surprise, but did not think much of it. She immediately sat down beside Sasuke, hearts in her eyes. Kakashi closed his book with a snap and said in his ever-lazy tone, all right, why don't you introduce yourselves? You can start first, Tinkerbell. Sakura scowled at Tinkerbell and spoke up, "Why don't you go first and show us how it's done, sensei?" Kakashi pointed a finger at himself, "Me? My name is Hatake Kakashi. I have many likes and dislikes. My dreams are none of your business. And you are too young to hear my hobbies." He finished and glanced at Sakura, motioning to continue. All the three genin sweat dropped. All we learned was his name. Sakura began speaking, "I am Haruno Sakura. I like," she glanced at Sasuke and blushed, "my hobbies are," she blushed harder, "my dream is," she squealed this team, making Naruto shake his head in disgust. Sasuke showed no reaction. Kakashi asked, "Dislikes?" Sakura was quick to scowl, "Ino Pig and Baka Naruto." Kakashi thought with a resigned sigh, "I just had to get a fangirl." He motioned Sasuke to begin, "You next, Emo." Sasuke scowled like Sakura at the nickname, but spoke, "Uchiha Sasuke. I have few likes and many dislikes. I have a dream, no, ambition to kill a certain man and restore my clan." Sakura was looking at Sasuke with hearts in her eyes and thinking, "Sasuke-kun is so cool." Naruto was thinking, doesn't he know that to restore his clan he needs girls and for girls he needs some personality? Kakashi had narrowed his eye a little, as I had thought. He motioned for Naruto to begin, "You next, Blondie." Naruto was not at all offended at his nickname and spoke with a small smile, "The name's Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen and spending time with Irika-sensei. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes for ramen to cook. My hobbies are training and experimenting with Fuinjutsu. My dream," his smile became a full-blown grin, "is to become the strongest Hokage ever." Kakashi smiled slightly, his hobbies are a bit unusual, but he has certainly grown up in an interesting way. He then said, "All right. All of you are unique and have your own ideals. We will start our duties from tomorrow. But there is something that the four of us have to do first." The deadpan in his voice was unmistakable. Naruto tilted his head ever so slightly, "What would that be, sensei?" "Survival exercise," Kakashi replied seriously. "But we already did enough of it in the academy, sensei," Sakura said with a frown. Kakashi chuckled, "This time, it's different because I'm your opponent." "What's so funny?" Sasuke asked, a little irritated. "It's your reaction you hear this. Of the 27 graduates, only 9 will be made genin. The rest will go back to the academy. As a matter of fact, the failure rate is over 66%. As Kakashi predicted, everyone's eyes went wide at that, Sakura going as far as to gaping. Kakashi laughed and said, "Told you you'd freak out." Naruto then deduced with narrowed eyes, "Then it is quite clear that the graduation test was just to select those who have the potential to become genin, isn't it?" Kakashi raised an eyebrow, that was quite perceptive of him. "Looks like you have a lot of secrets, Naruto-kun." He easily ignored Sakura shouting at Naruto for trying to act cool like Sasuke. "Anyways, meet me on training ground 7, tomorrow morning 5 o'clock. Skip breakfast if you don't want to throw up." He vanished in a leaf shunshin after that. For a while, none of them moved, thinking of the man's advice. Naruto got up first, walking over to the railing. He prepared to leap over, but stopped, turning around and asking, "Hey, you want to come and have lunch, get to know each other since we are teammates now?" Sasuke snorted in disdain and walked away, Sakura following him like a puppy. She followed Sasuke's lead and shouted, "Yeah right, like anyone would want to eat with you, loser." She then engaged in her daily habit of asking Sasuke for a date. Kurama was smirking, "She's the one to talk about weak." Naruto simply replied, "It's not worth wasting our thoughts like that, Kurama. Besides, at least I tried. It's always the thought that counts." He leaped over the railing and sprinted to his usual training ground to do his training for the day. Perhaps he could even find Anko and persuade her to spar with him. Naruto laid on his bed, hands tucked behind his bed and eyes up at the ceiling. Enko was tough as usual, and she was even kind enough to let him know that he had some openings in his fighting. By that, he meant she used those openings to leave nice, big bruises. He was not worried about that though, because he had already closed those openings. Right now, he was mentally conversing with Kurama. How much do I let loose tomorrow, Kurama? The Hiration is not an option. That will only be revealed in the Chunin exams and not before. You can reveal 3 or 4 jutsus that you have, but not your red lightning. You can scare Kakashi Brat with your flash step though. A bit of Fuinjutsu will do as well. Oh, and make sure to use the Great Fireball. I want to see the look on Uchiha's face, Kurama replied after thinking for a bit, snickering in the end. Naruto ignored that suggestion. Which means lightning jutsus are out. I can go all out in taijutsu. If I don't, Sasuke will be quick to call me out on that and I don't need any of that. Besides, it was clever of Kakashi-sensei to purposely mislead us into fighting on an empty stomach, don't you think? He smirked. Kurama smirked in return, don't make the mistake of underestimating him, Naruto. Kakashi is a very strong shinobi, strong enough to be feared across all shinobi nations in the Third Great War. He is not lacking in the mental department at all. Naruto mentally nodded, acknowledging Kurama's advice. Closing his eyes, he fell into a deep sleep. Tomorrow would be interesting. Again. Glancing out of the apartment he lived in, Sasuke was thankful for the silence the night provided. I will pass the exercise myself. I won't allow those two to hold me back, he thought. Frowning in thought, he absently tapped the window. The dobe has been acting very differently as of late. His sudden show of skills in the graduation test, his clear familiarity with seals, could it be that he was hiding his skills? If so, then why? He has always craved attention, so why would he do something like hiding his skills and personality? Just who are you, Naruto? Sasuke had noticed that Naruto acted very different from his usual loud and idiotic personality in the graduation exam. He was calm and collected, more so than Sasuke usually was. He was also understandably jealous of Naruto's newly discovered skills. Sasuke had been training his ass off since the massacre in order to become strong enough. Strong enough to kill him. Not many people had the ability to see underneath, not even Sasuke, but he could tell that Naruto was hiding a lot of his abilities. He would make Naruto tell him, because he deserved it more than anyone else, least of all the dobe. Naruto's eyes opened at 5 o'clock, according to his body clock. This is the time by which I am supposed to be on the training field, he thought as he got up to do his morning rituals. As he was brushing his teeth, he began thinking about Kakashi's behavior yesterday. Our sensei was late by over 3 hours to meet us and he didn't even look sorry about that. What's to say he won't do this today, he thought as he wiped his mouth. Going to the kitchen, he leisurely began preparing 4 omelets. As he cracked the eggs, he scoffed, skip breakfast if we didn't want to throw up? He must be crazy if he thought that we would fight him on an empty stomach. He slid the omelets onto his plate and sat down on the dining table. A quick prayer later, he was gorging them down. He couldn't think about strategies because he didn't know what the exercise would be. Finishing his meal, he walked over to the sink and washed his plate. Only Sakura would be stupid enough to skip the most important meal of the day. That girl is so thin a simple breeze would be enough to blow her away, he snickered. He went to his room and took out the seal on which he was working on. He sat down on his table and worked on it until only half an hour was remaining till 8 o'clock. He closed the scroll and began preparing for the day. He dressed up and checked if he had all his supplies in his pouch and holster. Tying his hitai beneath his left shoulder, he nodded to himself and exited his apartment after ensuring his trap seals were in place. He walked at a comfortable pace to the training grounds, eating 2 bananas and a backpack holding his lunch. Reaching the training grounds, he had to hold his laugh at what he saw. Both his teammates were there, probably from 5 o'clock, and were looking as miserable. Well, as miserable as Sasuke could look. Sakura was sitting on the ground, probably regretting not eating breakfast. As soon as she saw him, her face twisted into anger and she got up, yelling. Naruto! You are late! Naruto looked around and sure enough, Kakashi wasn't here. Turning back to Sakura, he shrugged, I don't know how I can be late if sensei isn't even here, Sakura. Sakura opened her mouth to yell more, but couldn't refute his statement. Her stomach decided to rumble at that moment, followed shortly by Sasuke's. Naruto raised a disbelieving eyebrow, they really are that stupid? He spoke with disbelief, you two didn't eat breakfast? The mentioned two shook their head, but Sakura yelled again, Sensei told us not to eat breakfast, Baka. Why did you eat it? Naruto glared at her, causing her to flinch, I'm standing right here, Sakura. There's no need to yell. As for eating breakfast, he spoke as if speaking to 4-year-olds, it is the most important meal of the day, you know. Sakura's temper got the better of her and she moved to hit Naruto. But Naruto decided to teach her a lesson and caught her fist easily, his cold eyes freezing her in her place. I suggest you stop doing that. Otherwise, I'll do more than just catch your fist next time. His voice was a whisper, but it was cold as ice, letting her know he was dead serious. He even enforced his threat with a little ki, making her sweat. Sasuke had been watching the both of them and had to admit that their interactions were amusing. However, that amusement ended when he heard Naruto's threat. He was surprised at how serious and deadly his teammate could sound. Naruto released Sakura's fist and walked up to him, asking, why didn't you eat breakfast, Emo? Sasuke glared at him, refusing to answer. Naruto shrugged and walked up to the posts, setting his backpack on top of one of them. He then sat down, legs crossed and eyes closed, waiting for their sensei to show up. Turns out Kakashi was even more late than yesterday. He showed up at 10 minutes to 11, hi fellows. Good morning. He was sounding even more lazier than yesterday, if that was possible. Sakura pointed at him accusingly at him, you're late. Kakashi's eye curved up in a sort of smile, well, you see, a black cat crossed my path, so I had to take a long cut to avoid bad luck. Liar! Sakura shouted. Naruto's sweat dropped, tardiness and lame excuses. Just what's wrong with this guy? The silence became awkward and Kakashi coughed to break it, well, let's begin. He placed his backpack down and pulled out an alarm clock, which he set for 12 o'clock. He put it on one of the posts. He then took out 2 tied bells, your task is to take these bells from me before the alarm rings. Those who don't get the bells get no lunch. Not only that, I will tie you to the posts and eat lunch in front of you. Sakura's hungry, devastated face was exactly what he wanted. Sasuke tried to hide his hunger, but his stomach betrayed him. Only Naruto looked calm among them. Naruto, why did you eat breakfast when I told you not to? Sakura smiled, expecting Naruto to get punished, but Naruto simply replied, you only suggested not to, sensei. You never said it as an order. Also, I'm not an idiot who forgets to eat the most important meal of the day. Sasuke and Sakura glared at him for implying they were idiots, while Kakashi just hummed. He is turning out to be very interesting. Maybe he would figure out the purpose of this test as well, he wondered. You only have to get 1 bell. Since there are only 2, one of you will get tied to the stump. The one who doesn't get a bell fails and goes back to the academy, he said, smirking at the horror on their faces. He continued, if you don't come at me with the intent to kill, you will fail. Any questions? Sakura spoke up, a confused look on her face, but sensei, what if you get hurt? Naruto snorted at that. Kakashi was a freaking jonin. They would be hard-pressed just to harm a hair on him. Kakashi almost laughed out loud but managed to rein it in, don't worry, I won't. Alright, begin. The three of them jumped out of sight. Kakashi then tied the bells to him and took out his Ika book. They've hidden well. A shinobi should be able to hide from his enemies. Now to wait for one of them to attack, Kakashi thought as he kept his eyes on the book. He's got to be kidding. I've only ever seen 4-man cells. There's no cell with only 2 genin and a jonin. There's a different purpose to this test, Naruto furiously thought. His eyes then widened. He knows we won't be able to get the bells single-handedly. He wants us to work together. That is the purpose of this test. He smirked in victory, but that smirk turned into a frown. Those two will never work with me. Maybe I can convince them, after I get beat up from sensei. With that, he released his seals and shunpoed from his spot. Kakashi looked up in surprise as Naruto Medto shimmer before him, landing in a crouch. What was that? He appeared really fast. His speed was too high for a genin. Rather stupid of you to come at me head-on, isn't it? I don't see what's stupid about testing your opponent, Naruto replied, eyes narrowed. Kakashi had to hold back the memories from seeing those eyes. So much like sensei. He was almost caught off guard when Naruto disappeared, reappearing in front of him, leg extended in a kick. That was easily low jonin level speed. And how the hell does he move that fast, he frantically thought as he blocked the kick. He winced, he hits hard as well. Kakashi was forced to put away his book as Naruto's movements were too fast. But Kakashi wasn't a jonin for nothing. He easily began countering Naruto's attacks, mentally admiring his fighting style. His movements are fast, not giving the opposition enough time to think. The strength in his attacks might even reach mid-chunin level. Not many openings to exploit too. His attacks are also quite unorthodox. Very interesting style, like he almost seems to know where the attacks are coming from. He applauded mentally as he ducked and blocked a 3 roundhouse kick combo that he knew wasn't a part of any style he knew, and he knew a lot of them. You're good kid, but not good enough, he grunted as he used the momentum of the spin kick coming towards his face. He caught Naruto by the ankle and threw him into the pond. He missed Naruto's smirk as he entered the water. He threw me into the water. Perfect, Naruto thought as he made a half-ram seal with his left hand and slowly released his breath. The air surrounded his body like a sort of bubble. He floated up until he was just underneath the surface. He then threw 2 shuriken at the jonin. Kakashi didn't even need to look to catch them. But he was unprepared for what came next. Suiton, Suikusari no Jutsu. Water style, water chain jutsu. 5 chains of water erupted from the water and wrapped around him with surprising speed. Requiring only 1 seal due to his high water affinity, this jutsu was very easy to use. Suiton ninjutsu? How does he know that? Shock filled his whole being. Naruto jumped out, spinning once mid-air to increase the momentum behind his punch, which only connected with a log. Kawarimi ha? Kakashi walked out from behind a tree 100 feet away, eye smiling. Nice try. You are definitely chunin material Naruto, but you will have to try harder to get the bell. Naruto made 3 hand seals, futon, tappa. Wind style, breakthrough, a strong gust of wind blew towards Kakashi, who simply leapt to the side to avoid it. Wind manipulation? How does Naruto know all these jutsus? A strong jutsu, but useless if I can avoid it, Kakashi rebuked. His eyebrow rose up in confusion when Naruto threw a single kunai at him. Is that supposed to hit me? He lazily asked as he just tilted his head to avoid it. He was not prepared for Naruto to appear behind him, replacing himself with the thrown kunai. Kakashi turned around, but it was too late. Wadash! Naruto slashed at the bells with a kunai in his right hand, eyes widening in surprise when one of them separated. Now's the chance, he allowed his body to spin clockwise, his left hand grabbing the separated bell and right foot kicking out to Kakashi, who blocked it with his hands. But Naruto simply used the force of the kick to jump back onto a tree, using Shuinpa to retreat into the woods. Sasuke and Sakura were shell-shocked. They were not expecting Naruto's taijutsu to be this good. He was matching their sensei strike for strike, even adding his own attacks. The speed of his movements was something not even Sasuke could match. His form of movement was also noticed by the duo, inducing jaw-dropping shock. The show of ninjutsu and snatch of a bell was the last straw for Sasuke. How does Dobe know a style such as that? How did he achieve that level of speed? How does he know those jutsu? I should be the one to have those, not him, he raged in his mind, fists clenched. Sakura had still not recovered from the shock that was Naruto. Naruto was never this good at the academy. How did he manage to get a bell? It was then her fangirlish ways took over. If Naruto can get a bell, then Sasuke-kun can definitely do it. Not once did she think about herself. Kakashi stood in shock over what happened. An academy graduate, who was said to be the dead last of his class, not only managed to catch him off guard, but also managed to get a bell. Not to mention the said dead last knew Futon and Suiton ninjutsu, Haichunin level taijutsu with low Jonin level speeds. He, Hatake Kakashi, copy ninja, caught off guard by a simple kawarimi. Naruto himself was shocked at his success. Even he didn't expect to get a bell this way. Then again, Kakashi most probably wouldn't expect an academy graduate to pull of a seal-less kawarimi. That was nothing more than a stroke of luck. In a straight fight, I would be dead already. But since when do shinobi fight fair, he thought, the excitement slowly leaving him, allowing cognitive thoughts to take place. I should probably seek out Sasuke and Sakura, maybe convince them to work together. But my plan was to get beat up, not to get a bell. Sasuke would never listen to me now, which by extension, also includes Sakura. Damn it, damn it, damn it, he cursed. It never hurts to try. The worst that will happen is that you will fail to convince them, Kurama encouraged him. Naruto thought about it a bit and reluctantly agreed with him. He easily sensed the chakras of the two and cursed when he felt that Sasuke was furious by the agitation of his chakra. He quickly made his way towards him, hoping he wouldn't be too late. He was too late. Sasuke was already furious at Naruto's achievement, and when Naruto tried to convince him, he harshly shot his proposal to work together down and went to confront Kakashi alone. Long story short, he got his ass handed to him and got himself buried head deep into the ground. On the bright side, Naruto successfully copied the Doton Jutsu Kakashi used to bury Sasuke. He sensed Kakashi casting a genjutsu on Sakura, who easily succumbed to it. He sent 20 shadow clones to fight Kakashi and defend Sakura, but the time was already up. Sakura hung her head in shame as she was the one tied to the post while Naruto and Sasuke sat beside her. Sasuke was angrily glaring at Naruto, who was watching his sensei. Kakashi looked at the kids, shaking his head in disappointment. Only Naruto managed to get a bell. But that doesn't mean that you passed Naruto. You all failed to grasp the real purpose of this test. Teamwork. The response came from Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura looked away from him, in anger and shame. Naruto tried to convince them to work together, but they didn't listen to him, because who did? Kakashi raised an eyebrow, a little late to realize, don't you think? Naruto gestured towards his teammates, they knew it. You can ask them that I tried to convince them to work together. But I already knew from the start that I would be shot down. Kakashi thought, he figured it out, and even tried to execute it, but knew he would be shot down. Sorry Naruto, but this group fails. Naruto's voice interrupted him, besides, teamwork is something that is established in the long run, sensei. You can't expect it out of people who have never worked together. Kakashi nodded, but it is also born out of necessity, which was this case. Unfortunately, you all failed to act on it. Silence reigned for a while as Kakashi let them think about it. Then he spoke, I'll give you all one more chance after an hour. If you fail even then, quit being shinobi, he harshly told them. The world of shinobi is not a playground for children. Be ready, and no one feed Sakura lunch. He walked away after that, presumably to run an errand. Naruto easily sensed him hiding behind a tree, even though he was suppressing his chakra. He shook his head and turned to offer his lunch to Sakura, who blinked in surprise. Naruto, sensei said it's fine. I don't sense him anyways, Sasuke said as he too, offered Sakura his lunch. She gratefully nodded at him and ate, ignoring Naruto completely. Naruto shook his head and was about to dig in when he felt a sudden surge of chakra. Kakashi appeared before them, furious as hell. I told you not to feed her. Are you ready to face the consequences? The clouds suddenly seemed to gather and sounds of thunder could be heard. Sasuke spoke up, surprising Naruto, we are a team, aren't we? We will face the consequences together. Is that your choice? Kakashi asked, still radiating fury. The group nodded as one, resolution and determination in their eyes. Like a switch, Kakashi changed personalities, you pass, I smiled at them. Naruto still stayed wary, is that it? I smiled disappearing, Kakashi said in a serious tone, yeah. I wanted to be sure you three would act as one. My best friend always used to say, those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. I wanted you all to accept each other as comrades. This is actually the first group I have passed. The previous ones were blockheads who couldn't get it. He gave them a nice smile and a thumbs up. Team 7 will start its missions from tomorrow. Welcome to the wonderful world of D-ranks. Naruto was starting to hate those words by now. It had been 2 weeks since the bell test had taken place. Kakashi had kept to his promise and started taking missions for the team the day after. Only Naruto, and by extension his teammates, refused to believe whatever they were doing were missions. Menial tasks such as fixing fences, taking dogs out for walks, manual labor on farms, Naruto was confused as hell as to how these tasks could be labeled in the same category as missions. He was sure Sasuke and Sakura were too. Speaking of which, Sasuke had started asking questions about how Naruto knew wind and water ninjutsu, his taijutsu style. He even had the nerve to demand from him all the jutsu he knew. Naruto had told him in no uncertain terms that unless Sasuke was willing to share jutsu from his own repertoire, Naruto had no intention of telling him what he wanted to know. Of course, Sasuke refused to share any jutsu of his, believing that they were Uchiha clan jutsu and as such, no one besides him could know. Naruto had scoffed at that, but Kurama had straight out burst laughing. The great beast had told him he knew at least 20 people who could perform the great fireball, only 2 of which were Uchiha. Naruto had smartly countered that argument by towing the line that was Uchiha Sasuke's pride. He had condescendingly asked if the great Uchiha library was not enough for him. Sasuke did not want to admit that he could not access it without his Sharingan, and he honestly believed all jutsus available outside were weak and so, did not bother to learn them. He stopped bugging Naruto after that, much to the blonde's relief. However, Sakura had started bugging him on Sasuke's behalf to get him to hand over the jutsus, saying that a loser like him does not deserve them. Naruto was quick in shutting her up, turning her own argument against her. He had smartly questioned her if she was implying he was weak. Sakura, unaware of what she was putting her foot into, scoffed and replied that she was not implying, she knew he was weak. After that, everything went smooth like butter. Naruto replied that if he was weak, then by extension, the jutsu he used were also weak. And Sasuke wouldn't love Sakura if she handed him weak jutsus, right? Sakura had adopted a worried frown at his question and seemed to come to the conclusion that he was right. She did not once question why Naruto accepted himself as weak, which was opposite of what he had displayed in the bell test. Regardless, after mocking him some more, she went back to Sasuke, who ignored her as usual. Kakashi-sensei was also onto him, but he was a lot more cautious in his approach. He subtly framed his statement such that Naruto would have difficulty in avoiding the correct answer. But Naruto knew that if it got out he had received training from an early age, Sasuke might throw one of his tantrums, which would then result in the civilian council removing him from the ninja program. No thank you. Naruto, while subtle talking was not one of his strengths, decided that he would avoid talking to Kakashi outside of missions and training. Speaking of training, Naruto tried out the taijutsu simulation his father left for him. Needless to say, he was excited as hell when he fought the first level. And he was more than surprised at how difficult it was. He may have reached a level in his resistance seals that actually permits him to try all 7 levels, but only the first level's victory came at the cost of some very impressive bruises. It taught Naruto that his taijutsu, while very good, was not good enough. He increased the resistance on his body, believing if he was faster, he would be better. He tried the second level after a week and was pleased to note that the number of bruises he got were significantly less. A sign of improvement, he also learned a water and a lightning jutsu as well. A very interesting thing he learned about his red lightning was that it was very versatile and easy to use. He could mold it into anything with ease, almost like it was an extension of his body. But enough of that. Right now, they were on a mission. A mission Naruto had absolutely no problem in failing. The mission to capture Tora, the feudal lord's wife's cat. It was a mission that always managed to give Naruto goosebumps. He could swear on his ramen that the old man was a sadist. He could see the joy at their pain in his eyes every time the mission to capture the blasted cat was handed out. So far they had already caught it 5 times. This was the 6th. And he was ready to tear his hair out. This is Kakashi, everyone copy. Sakura here, copy. Sasuke here, copy. Naruto here, copy. Does everyone have eyes on target? Naruto responded, I have clear eyes on target. Just waiting for the go. Alright, go. A flash step later and Naruto had Tora secured in his arms. She was thrashing around, but he could care less. Got him, Kakashi-sensei. Turning to the cat, he pressed 2 fingers onto the cat's forehead and removed them, revealing a kanji for sleep. Tora fell asleep instantly. His teammates landed beside him, irritated expressions on their face which Kakashi expertly ignored and asked Naruto through radio, does it have the red ribbon on the right ear? Surprisingly, it was Sakura who replied, yes, red ribbon is there. Can we go now? Naruto couldn't fault her for being so infuriated. He looked over to Sasuke and saw him return to his normal brooding expression, but his clenched fists told otherwise. Kakashi landed beside his team, eye scrunched up in that annoying eye smile of his. Well done Team 7. Capturing Tora is a success. Naruto quietly mumbled, again. He seriously wanted to start doing actual missions. After they returned to the mission hall, Kakashi asked for another D-ranked mission, much to his team's protests. The Sandaime scrolled through the missions, let's see. There is a fence that needs painting, weeding to be done, dogs to be walked dash. How about a real mission this time, GG? Like a C rank, he asked the Hokage, tired of doing the chores these people called missions. Sakura was quick to scold Naruto, Naruto. Show respect to Hokage-sama. Surprisingly, she didn't try to hit him. Must have scared her back there, he mused. Naruto. Irika spoke with a frown, you can't demand missions like that. Genin teams have to do D-rank missions for 2 to 3 months before they get qualified for C ranks. And even then they're Jonin sensei dash. Hiruzen cut Irika off with a gentle chuckle, it's okay, Sakura-chan. He has called me that ever since he was little. Sakura's eyes widened a bit in surprise, as did Sasuke's. They didn't know Naruto was so close to the Hokage to the extent of calling the man a grandfather figure. Hiruzen turned towards Kakashi. Kakashi, do you think your team is ready for a C-rank mission? Kakashi thought about it a bit. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura's teamwork had progressed at a slow rate, but he can say that their teamwork had become decent. One development worth mentioning was that Sasuke now held a one-sided rivalry with Naruto. With Naruto starting to hide less of his abilities, it became even more clearer that he had Sasuke outmatched in ninjutsu because of his wider repertoire of jutsus, not to mention that Naruto had shown he could use 3 elements and had monstrous chakra reserves due to being a Jinchuriki and an Uzumaki, easily dwarfing Sasuke's reserves. Fuinjutsu already gave Naruto an edge that Kakashi knew Sasuke would not be able to match. The Jonin suspected Naruto was hiding a lot more, but didn't call him out on it. He kept a close eye on Naruto during the D-ranks, but Naruto held his edge. He didn't give the two boys any chance to spar, knowing that because of Sasuke's inability to accept someone, especially Naruto, was stronger than him would cause the spar to escalate into something much serious. Kakashi was not dumb enough to take that chance. Anyway, Naruto had unintentionally become Sasuke's reason to get stronger. Kakashi reasoned that Sasuke held his brother, Itachi, in a much higher position than Naruto and wanted to become stronger than Naruto, so he could finally kill him. Another positive development was that Sasuke didn't completely alienate himself from his teammates. He held a strange companionship with Naruto, deeming the boy tolerable. Maybe it was because Naruto had metamorphically extended a hand of friendship towards the lone Uchiha by displaying a bit of what he was capable of, and Sasuke respected those who had power. Taking all of this into consideration, Kakashi finally spoke. "Hi, I believe they are ready, Hokage-sama." All 3 genin had different reactions to this. Sakura sighed in relief, not wanting to do D-ranks anymore. Naruto pumped his fist, exclaiming, "Yes." Finally. Even Sasuke smirked a bit. He felt doing D-ranks held him back from getting stronger. Maybe getting some real-world experience like encountering bandits and foreign shinobi would make him stronger, he mused. Hiruzen nodded and browsed through the pile in front of him. "Let's see." Found it. Simple escort and protection mission to Wave Country. Your client is a bridge builder named Tazuna who wants you to protect him until he completes building his bridge in Wave. Kakashi took the scroll. Mission accepted, Hokage-sama. Hokage then turned to Irika. "Send Tazuna inside." Irika nodded and went out of the room, returning 2 minutes later with an old man wearing a straw hat and holding a bottle which obviously contained alcohol. Naruto wrinkled his nose. The odor was not pleasant at all. Tazuna looked at the team of genin and slurred, "These are the brats that are supposed to protect me? I paid for real ninja protection." "Funny of you to say that, considering you didn't even notice me move," a voice came from behind him. Tazuna whipped around with wide eyes, but couldn't spot the owner of the voice. "Over here, you drunkard," the same voice drawled, making the man whip around again, eyes locking onto a mop of blonde hair. Intense blue eyes stared back at him, silently mocking him and his earlier statement. Kakashi intervened before Naruto could scare Tazuna even more. "Naruto, please don't scare the client," he reprimanded in his usual lazy voice, which didn't sound like a reprimand at all. "Kakashi-sensei, you're no fun at all," Naruto sighed despondently, walking back to his place beside Sasuke. Kakashi assured the builder, "You have nothing to be afraid of, Tazuna-san. My genin are among some of the best upcoming ninjas of this village. We can easily take care of a few bandits." Instead of making the man relax, Tazuna tensed up a bit at the word bandits. Naruto narrowed his eyes a bit at that. Protection from a jonin would be enough to make anyone relax, so Tazuna tensing up didn't make sense. "He's hiding, or more probably, withholding some information, Naruto. Be on your guard, Kurama advised. He too noticed Azuna's tensing up. Will do, Kurama, Naruto replied before turning to Kakashi, excitement on his face. When are we leaving, Kakashi-sensei? He eagerly asked. We will leave tomorrow morning at 7, he answered. He then lazily waved them away. That's all for today. Take full rest for tomorrow. The genin dispersed to do their own thing for the remainder of the day. Naruto and Sasuke went separate ways to do their own training while Sakura headed home. Naruto headed to the abandoned Senju compound, more specifically the Nidame's library. He figured that this C rank might take them 2 to 3 weeks, so he might as well collect 2 jutsu scrolls to learn in the meantime. Browsing, he picked up a Suiton and a Futon scroll. Suiton, Suidanya, water style, water severing wave, was a powerful A-rank jutsu. After infusing chakra in your stomach and then converting it to water, the user spit the water out in highly pressurized, razor-sharp jets of water, sharp enough to cleanly cut through rock and barks of thick trees if used perfectly. Naruto was pleased to note that like all Suiton jutsus he had learned from the library until now, this one had 2 types of learning as well. One for a normal water user, another for a user who had extremely high affinity like Tobirama, who could perform the most complex water techniques with only one hand seal. Futon, Kaze Jirai no Jutsu, wind style, wind torpedo technique. A powerful C-rank jutsu that Tobirama himself created keeping explosive tags in mind. I'm starting to think our esteemed Nidame was a man obsessed with explosives, he thought as he read on how to perform the jutsu. After infusing wind chakra in your lungs, it is expelled as a highly explosive ball of wind, near invisible. Upon contact, it will explode with the force of 2 standard explosive tags. It required 3 hand seals of oxhorse snake. Should be enough to last this mission, he mused as he exited the library. Extending his senses, he checked if anyone was nearby. Finding no one, he shrugged and simply flashed into his apartment. He had no idea what he was in for in this mission. Naruto woke up at his usual time of 5 o'clock, refreshed and recovered from yesterday's training. He got up from his bed, rubbing his eyes a bit. Walking to the bathroom, he finished his morning rituals and almost put on his regular running clothes, before remembering that he had a C-rank mission today. He shook his head and just put on a lower and shoes. He opened the door to his balcony and breathed the fresh, cool morning air. He shivered once as the air hit his bare upper body, but soon adjusted to it. He flipped onto the roof and began a series of stretches to simply warm his body up. Wouldn't want to exert too much today before the mission, he thought as he stretched every part of his body. With that being the last thought, he emptied his mind and enjoyed the silence that the village experienced in the early mornings before it began its daily chaos. After 1 hour, he had sufficiently warmed up his body and decided to have breakfast before heading to the gates. Making a half-ram seal, a shadow clone popped into existence, already knowing to make breakfast. It flipped his way into the apartment and into the kitchen while Naruto sat there, simply taking in the peace for a few more minutes. Kurama, in your ridiculously long life, have you ever taken time to breathe and admire the sunrise? What brought this on, brat? Kurama's voice was a bit laden with sleep, signifying that he was napping as usual. Naruto shrugged, just asking. Despite what people tend to think about me, I don't rampage all the time, you know. Even I take time to appreciate the simple joys of nature, he grumbled. Naruto lifted an eyebrow. Wow, people really don't understand you as well as they think they do. Kurama nodded mentally before shooing him away. Now go away, let the me rest in peace, he said, cutting off their conversation. Naruto shook his head. He must have a passionate hobby of sleeping which he adheres to like anything. He flipped himself back into his apartment, walking to his bathroom to freshen up. 10 minutes later, he was eating 4 scrambled eggs, all the while mentally compiling a list of what he should take with him. He created a shadow clone to clean up while he got ready. He dressed up as usual and sealed up whatever supplies he would need in a large sealing scroll which he brought from the Higurashi weapons shop. The folks over there didn't up the prices for him. He was considering selling his ideas for a modified explosive tag over there in exchange for a discount on his future purchases and a bit of secrecy. After all, he also needed those in the future. After double-checking everything, he picked up his scroll, slung it around him and walked out of his apartment. He activated the trap seals which he had designed himself. While he knew no one had any reason to come to his apartment, he couldn't help but create them, just to test himself. With that, he flashed the Hiratian seal on top of the gates of Konoha. Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke each had different thoughts concerning this mission. Kakashi didn't lose his sleep over it, figuring this would be a normal C-rank mission. Truthfully, he didn't think his team was ready to take on a C-rank. While Naruto and Sasuke had established a sort of friendship, this would be the first time their coordination would be tested. Naruto was clearly skilled. His taijutsu was between Michunin to High Chunin level, but Kakashi suspected Naruto had some sort of seal, probably weight or resistance, on his body to increase his overall speed and strength. Naruto hit it well, but the occasional stumble in places where there was no reason to stumble gave him the idea of speed and strength increasing seals. Naruto already had an effective arsenal of jutsus at his disposal. Kakashi deduced that Naruto must have very high chakra control to perform the jutsus that he did. While he only witnessed them in the bell test, he saw enough to put together that Naruto had no problem in ninjutsu. He also knew that he didn't have to worry about Naruto succumbing to chakra exhaustion, considering his status as Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi and an Uzumaki. Fuinjutsu was a branch of the ninja arts that not many chose to explore, considering how complex and vast it was. However, Naruto had already shown his proficiency with seals. It wasn't hard to believe that Naruto would use seals, knowing who his parents were. Sasuke was also skilled, but outclassed by Naruto. The boy had a loner personality, but had mellowed a bit in the last 2 months. Kakashi knew that the credit went to Naruto, who knew exactly how to push the Uchiha's buttons and had somehow created a bond of friendship between them. The boy's taijutsu was good, but he could only go so far without the Sharingan. Kakashi didn't worry about it, knowing that once Sasuke awakened it, he would close the gap between him and Naruto. While the Sharingan was an excellent tool to use for ninjutsu, it really depended on the size of the person's chakra reserves. And he didn't even need to speak about Sasuke's proficiency in using ninja tools. Sakura was perhaps the only problem in Team 7. Her actions leaned more towards an obsessed fangirl than a kunoichi focused on her career. She would always be asking Sasuke out for dates, leading Kakashi to consider if the girl only became kunoichi to get close to Sasuke. She wasn't physically strong, did not know any useful jutsu, proficiency with ninja tools was mediocre at best and tried to make others feel bad to make herself feel better, as was the case with her and Naruto. Thankfully, Naruto seemed to be well versed in the art of ignoring Sakura. The only good thing about her was that she had excellent chakra control and intelligence, but that was of no use to her if she couldn't find a way to apply it on the battlefield. He had only taken this C-rank to show his team that the ninja world wasn't as easy and forgiving as it seemed. They hadn't even experienced their first kills, though that could change if they came across bandits. Sasuke had his normal, neutral expression on his face as he walked to the gates for his mission. His thoughts, however, were anything but neutral. Sasuke couldn't understand Uzumaki Naruto, no matter how he tried. Every time he thought he had figured Naruto out, the blonde would seemingly switch angles and leave Sasuke confused again. At first glance, he gave off the impression of a clown, but that quickly changed on the day of the graduation exam. Since then, Sasuke kept a close eye on Naruto. On the day of the bell test, Sasuke had been outraged at the skill that was displayed by the blonde. He suspected Naruto's taijutsu was at par, if not greater than his own. But to engage in a spar with a jonin, attacking and countering all attacks with a precision and fluidity Sasuke did not possess, was enough to ignite jealousy inside Sasuke. His ninjutsu was something Sasuke did not expect, but didn't exactly know why he was upset about it. So he didn't think much about it. Sasuke had somewhat expected Fuinjutsu and immense chakra reserves from Naruto, having read up on the Uzumaki clan and their prowess in the art. He could accept that, but that was not the most surprising thing that happened to him. He had thought that Naruto would hold a grudge against him for how Sasuke treated him at the academy, but instead of giving him the same treatment, Naruto had extended a hand of friendship towards him, telling him that he was willing to put aside the differences between them in order to work together. At first, Sasuke had refused, firm on his belief that he will be only held back. But Naruto persisted, to the point that Sasuke agreed if only to get him to shut up. And it was, alright, to work with him. Naruto invited him to occasionally have ramen with him at Ichiraku's. Sasuke had accepted every time, desperate to piece together the puzzle of Naruto. They usually talked about their training schedules, more like Sasuke wanted to know how Naruto became so strong. They talked about their childhoods, surprising Sasuke just how similar they were. Sometimes, they just complained about Sakura, with Naruto rambling and Sasuke pitching in every 5 minutes. And the weird thing about these meetings, it became easier to talk to him every time. Sasuke was now pretty sure that he did not consider Naruto as a weakling to be dismissed at the first glance, but rather as a scale to measure himself against. He respected him, he wanted to become as strong as Naruto, in hopes that he would surpass him and finally become powerful enough to kill his brother. He had accepted Naruto as a comrade, for now. Sakura happily made her way to the gates, Sasuke being the main thought on her mind. She was sad how Sasuke always denied her a date, but kept her spirits high, just in case he decided to accept the next time. But in the past 2 months she had spent with her team, she was witness to some rather troubling developments. The first was that she was forced to accept that she could not use Naruto as a step to boost her confidence anymore. He had made it very clear that he would not tolerate her picking on him anymore. That made her realize with a small amount of shame, that she had very unnecessarily picked on Naruto, who had no hand in anything that upset her. The second was that Naruto was strong. Easily stronger than Sasuke, and she was not just talking about chakra reserves. She knew about the Uzumaki clan. Naruto was the physically capable of them all, proven when he could physically exert even more than Sasuke. He would take much longer than her and Sasuke to get tired and recover much more quickly than both of them. The third and hardest to accept was that Naruto and Sasuke came from very similar backgrounds. She refused to believe that at first, going so far as to call him an orphan and could never match Sasuke. She was shocked though, when Sasuke came to Naruto's defense. He admonished Sakura, saying that she had gone too far. He harshly reminded her that he and Naruto shared the fact that they were orphans. Since then, Sakura had felt tremendously guilty and had tried to act nicer towards Naruto. She wouldn't call them friends though, they were far from that. She began to see Naruto in a new light. Though he always acted like he was indifferent, the subtle actions made it clear that he always cared for his comrades. She noticed that in the 2 months, Naruto and Sasuke had grown closer as friends. Sasuke too began to see Naruto in a new light. She saw that Naruto clearly knew that he was stronger than Sasuke, but he never rubbed it in the boy's face. Instead he used this fact to encourage Sasuke to grow stronger. She was, by no means, a friend to Naruto, but hoped that he would at least consider her a worthy comrade in time. The two reached the gates exactly 15 minutes before 7. Sakura's eyes lit up as she saw the dark-haired boy. Sasuke-kun, she waved enthusiastically, and like always, was disappointed when he replied with his customary "HN." Sasuke looked around, trying to find Naruto. Perhaps this mission may force Naruto to reveal what he is hiding from us, he thought. A hand fell on his shoulder and he barely caught himself from yelping. Instead, he turned his head back as calmly as he could to see Naruto's smirking face. Sasuke tried to play it cool, but knew Naruto had already seen his moment of weakness. Before he could do anything else, Naruto chuckled and patted his shoulder. "It's okay, Sasuke. Even ANBU would be hard-pressed to detect me in the middle of my pranks." Sasuke raised an eyebrow at that, silently waiting for Naruto to elaborate, but he didn't. Naruto simply leaned against the wall, waiting for their sensei. Sakura had a confused expression on her face. "Naruto, why don't you have a backpack like me and Sasuke-kun?" Naruto replied, "Well, for one, sealing scrolls are just more practical to use. It takes time to take off your backpack, and rummage through everything to find what you need. All you need to do in a sealing scroll is unroll it, push chakra into the required seal and voila. So much quicker than backpacks, don't you think? Also, I modified this scroll to suit my needs. I trust my creation more than anything else." "That's an interesting outlook, Naruto." The three genin turned around to see Kakashi and their client coming. Tazuna was still drinking, but he didn't seem as drunk as he was yesterday. Kakashi looked at Naruto. "While your logic isn't wrong, it is a bit unconventional for shinobi to use sealing scrolls instead of backpacks. However, if it works for you, I have no problem with it," he finished, shrugging in the end. Turning towards his other two students, "Are you two ready?" Seeing them nod, he turned to their client. "Let's go, Tazuna-san." They had left the gates over 4 hours ago. 4 hours of torturous silence. While Naruto appreciated silence, 4 hours of traveling with someone and not talking at all felt really awkward. He would talk with Tazuna, but nothing came to mind about what to talk. Talking with Kurama wasn't an option. The fox was easily snoring away. Sakura seemed to sense the awkwardness as well, and she did not have the same problem as Naruto of finding a topic to talk about. Tazuna-san, you are from Wave Country, right?" Tazuna turned his head towards her. "Yeah, what about it? Do you have a ninja village in that country?" Surprisingly, it was Kakashi who answered. "Actually, Wave does not have a ninja village. Each of the elemental nations has their own hidden shinobi villages. But the smaller countries don't have the resources to fund, let alone maintain their own hidden village. Budget, people, missions, there are so many resources to account for that the smaller nations can't afford. So they prefer to hire ninjas from other countries." Naruto only paid half attention to the explanation, the other half of his attention focused on the puddle to the side of the road. It looked so out of place on the sunny day that a word automatically rang through his mind: trap. He glanced at Kakashi-sensei, who had also seen the puzzle and figured out it's a genjutsu. He nudged Sasuke, motioning him to glance at the puddle. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, for he didn't understand what Naruto was trying to imply, but it suddenly clicked after a moment. He nodded his thanks to Naruto, who nodded back. They subtly repositioned themselves in front of Tazuna. As soon as they passed the puddle, Naruto's sense of danger buzzed loudly and he called out, "Watch out." He and Sasuke both jumped back in time, but Kakashi was apparently too slow to react. Two ninjas jumped from the puddle and attacked Kakashi with a bladed chain, tearing him to shreds. At least that's what Sakura and Sasuke saw. Naruto's senses were fast enough to follow the Kawarimi, followed by a minor genjutsu. "One down," the one on the right declared. They both then turned their attention towards the genin. "Sakura, guard Tazuna," Naruto shouted. He then turned his attention towards the one who was closing in on him. Holding a half-ram seal, a shadow clone popped up beside him. Together, they both held kunai in their hands, reverse grip and coated with wind chakra. Due to his excellent chakra control and the chakra conducting metal of the kunai, the wind chakra got shaped like a second and a longer skin to the kunai. Not wasting any time, both of them engaged the ninja from different sides. The ninja scoffed and tried to use his chain, but both the Narutos easily dodged it. One of them attacked the chain while the original attacked the ninja. The ninja, whose eyes were wide after seeing the wind chakra on the kunai, was sufficiently distracted with trying to hold of the clone from cutting his chain off. Naruto took advantage of this and executed a diagonal slash along the torso of the ninja. The wind chakra easily tore through and made a deep cut. Not enough to be fatal, but deep enough to hurt. The ninja cried out in pain and instinctively held his left hand to the cut. The clone took full advantage of the opening and hit the back of the ninja's head with the blunt head of his kunai, rendering him unconscious. Naruto and his clone smirked down at the fallen ninja and bumped fists, the action causing the clone to disappear. He looked over to Sasuke, who was about to clash with his opponent, a kunai and shuriken in hand. But before he could do that, a hand appeared in the ninja's path, right in front of his throat. Needless to say, Kakashi's block easily knocked out the ninja cold. Smiling at his students, he said, "Good job on taking him out, Naruto. You too, Sasuke, keeping the enemy away from the client. Sorry Sakura, I didn't know you would freeze up like that." He tied up the two ninja against a tree. He missed the frustrated look on Sasuke's face, which turned into jealousy as he gazed at Naruto, who was watching Kakashi. He was easily able to knock out the ninja in less than half a minute. Why couldn't I do that? I got stuck in engaging the ninja instead of trying to take him out as quickly as possible. He clenched his fists in agitation. Kakashi explained, "These guys are known as the Demon Brothers. They are rogue chunin of Kirigakure no Sato. They are somewhat dangerous." Tazuna looked scared out of his wits. "If you were not skewered to pieces, why did you let your genin handle them?" Kakashi smiled, "I had to test them how they would perform in the field. Besides, I had to find out who they were attacking. Us because of the grudge between our villages, or you," he finished with a serious expression. At that moment, the ninja with one horn, the one whom Naruto had knocked out, seemed to wake up. He groaned in pain. "How did you know we were going to attack?" Naruto spoke up before Kakashi could. "A puddle on a completely sunny day, added to the fact it hasn't rained in weeks." "Well done, genius," he sarcastically clapped. Sakura let out a light giggle at this. Naruto's snark was funny when it was aimed at others. Kakashi narrowed his eye at Tazuna. "We need to talk." Tazuna adopted a nervous expression. "About what?" It was stated in the mission scroll that you needed protection from bandits, not rogue ninjas. Especially from Kirigakure, where the ninjas complete their missions, no matter the cost. "Why would they be after you?" His tone was light, but the suspicion was heavy. "Unless they were hired specifically to take you out," Naruto added his 2 cents, pointing at Tazuna. Tazuna tried to think up an excuse, but it was already too late. With a resigned sigh, he asked them, "Have you heard of a man called Gato?" Kakashi questioned with a thoughtful frown, "Do you mean one who is among the richest men in the nations? That Gato?" "I've heard of him," Naruto stated. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, silently asking to elaborate. "He is the owner of a shipping company. When I last read about him, he was among the top 15 richest in the nations. Suspected for criminal activity, but no proof," he said with his arms crossed. "The very same," Tazuna agreed. "Though now he is among the top 5. He came to Wave Country a bit more than 2 years ago. First we didn't think anything about it, but soon he had bought up all the shipping industry of our nation. You see, Wave Country is an island, so we are dependent on the shipping to get goods. But that wasn't the worst part. He used his monopoly to drain the country dry. The people live in poverty. Many lost their houses to Gato. Whoever protested is killed. He takes what he wants with his hired thugs, making sure nobody dares to oppose him. His shipping business covers his criminal activities. He deals with drugs, alcoholics, rare goods, even slaves. Everything and anything that brings him money. The only thing he fears is the bridge I'm building. If I finish my bridge, his monopoly will be rendered obsolete and our country will be back in business because we will be connected to the mainland. So why didn't you just tell the truth to Hokage-sama? Kakashi glared at him. Tazuna threw his hands up, I couldn't. Wave country has been sucked dry. We don't have enough money to pay for more than a C-rank mission. Kakashi shook his head, while that is sad, you had no right to lie to the Hokage. This mission is now at least a B rank, requiring a team of Chunin and Jonin. This is not a job my genin are suited to perform. Glancing at his students briefly, he said, but as they are ninjas of Konoha, they have a say in this as much as I do now. He then turned to his students, what do you think we should do? Naruto was the first to answer. Protocol dictates that during times like these, the assigned genin team is to immediately abandon the mission and report back to the village for reassignment. Sasuke glared at Naruto, but before he could speak Naruto continued, but I say we continue, Kakashi-sensei. This mission is not just about Tazuna wanting to save money. A whole country is about to lose the last shreds of its economy because of one man who wants too much. Surprisingly, Sasuke brought up a good point, and we can't afford to let people think that Konoha will let a country fall to such a man. I say we continue, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi looked at the two genin and then at Sakura, who still looked a bit scared. What about you, Sakura? Sakura looked less scared than before, but still scared. I say we go forward, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi gazed at her a moment longer. He sighed and then said, very well, let's go. They missed Tazuna's sigh of utter relief. Naruto put seals on both the brothers' foreheads, putting them to sleep. Kakashi told him the Konoha shinobi would be arriving to take them, so he should leave instructions for them on how to release the seal. After that, the team and Tazuna continued without any further delay until they reached a coast where Tazuna had organized transport to Wave Country. The man greeted Tazuna and cast a wary eye on the Konoha shinobis, but kept his words to himself. He stirred them, appearing extremely nervous despite of the dense cover from the morning fog. As soon as the bridge came into view, Kakashi let out a low whistle, that is one impressive bridge, that is. Naruto shook his head in wonder, I've never seen anything as awesome as that bridge before. Sakura was gaping at the sheer size of the bridge and Sasuke was, like always, neutral-faced. Once they reached the shore, the fisherman wished Tazuna best of luck to get home safely while Tazuna thanked him for his help. Kakashi asked Tazuna, how long is your home away from here? A journey of about 1 hour and a half. Kakashi nodded and motioned for his team start walking. Though he didn't know the reason why he suddenly felt a sense of foreboding. Glancing towards his team, he wasn't entirely surprised to see that only Naruto seemed to share his wariness, eyes darting around, ready to react at the slightest notice. And react he did. Without any warning, a shuriken flew into a bush on the side, courtesy of Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura jumped at that, along with Tazuna. Kakashi just narrowed his eyes, what is it Naruto? Naruto walked to the bush, a kunai ready in hand. Though he was confused when he only spotted a white rabbit, scared to the bone. Sakura scolded him, Baka. Look what you did to the poor rabbit. But Kakashi and Naruto were too busy concentrating on the fact that they spotted a white rabbit. A snow rabbit whose fur is white? In the spring? The absence of brown fur indicates it was raised in captivity, were the thoughts going through the Jonin's head. He suddenly realized its purpose. His shout ran out a second after Naruto's danger sense kicked in. Down! Everyone dropped to the ground, just in time to avoid a giant, spinning from cutting off their heads. Naruto saw that Sasuke was able to bring Tazuna just in time. Everyone stood up and turned towards the tree in which the sword was buried, a man standing on the handle. He had black hair and brown eyes, his slashed kiri headband tilted upwards to the left side of his head, signifying his status as a missing nin. He wore mist-stripped pants and hand warmers that extended to his biceps. Kakashi's voice took a tone of mock surprise. Well, if it isn't Momochi Zabuza, rogue nin and former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. The now identified Zabuza raised a non-existent eyebrow. So you have heard of me. The man's posture radiated confidence and power. I'm going to ask you to hand over the old man to me. You do that and you get to escape with your lives. Kakashi had a bead of sweat running down the side of his face. This is really bad. Zabuza is a high A rank missing nin, bordering S rank, which easily upgrades this B rank to a high A rank. Naruto had similar thoughts running through his head. Damn, our luck must be really bad if we have to face off against a swordsman of the mist. I don't stand a chance against him. But we have no choice other than to fight. Damn it. Naruto took out 2 kunai from his hip pouches, held in reverse grip and ready to engage, but Kakashi held a hand in front of him. Everyone stay back. He is not someone you can take on. It'll be tough, even for me. Unless I use this, he said, lifting up his hitayate and exposing a blood-red eye with 3 tomos in a circular pattern. Zabuza gave a dark, amused chuckle. The Sharingan, this early, Kakashi? I'm honored. I've read about you, back when I was in ANBU. The man who is said to have copied over 1,000 jutsu, Sharingan no Kakashi. Sasuke's head whipped around to stare at Kakashi, more specifically, at his left eye. How does he have the Sharingan? It's supposed to be an Uchiha clan dojutsu. Did he steal one on the night of the massacre? Before he could think of anything else, mist slowly started to surround them. In just a few moments, the mist was so thick it was hard to see 2 feet in front of them. Suddenly, an incredible amount of killing intent filled the air, causing all of them to tense up. But Naruto relaxed after a moment, having gathered his wits. This was nothing compared to what Kurama put him through. Sasuke and Sakura were another story. Sasuke was frozen in his place, while Sakura was barely keeping herself from crying. The killing intent seemed to relax and Kakashi's voice rang out, "Don't worry, Sasuke, Sakura. There is no way I will let my comrades die." Kakashi had released his own killing intent, easing up some of the pressure. Turning back, Kakashi said, "He'll come after me first. Zabuza is a known master of the silent killing technique. Before you know it's over." Naruto whispered back, "But sensei, aren't you at a disadvantage here? The Sharingan is not meant to see through dense fogs like this. You would be needlessly wasting your chakra." Kakashi had to admit Naruto had a point. Before he could say anything, Zabuza's voice came from all around the mist. 8 points: liver, lungs, spine, clavicle vein, jugular vein, brain, kidneys and heart. These places, if hit too hard or cut too deep, are a one-hit kill. Where should I strike first? Naruto formed a single bird seal. Futon, Tappa. Wind style, breakthrough. The burst of wind he expelled blew away all the fog, revealing Zabuza standing a few feet away from the group, sword in hand. "Now it is better for you, sensei," Naruto smiled, kunai held in reverse grips. He had already released all his resistance seals. Zabuza clicked his tongue in annoyance. "Annoying brat, he cancelled out my jutsu. How the hell does a genin know wind manipulation anyway?" Naruto saw it. Zabuza was staring at him with annoyance, but before he could react, Kakashi appeared behind his back, slashing at him. Zabuza collapsed in a puddle of water. Mizu Bunshin, huh? Naruto and Kakashi thought simultaneously. Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi, slashing him off. A flicker of surprise was visible when Kakashi too collapsed into water. Kakashi came up behind him. "Nice try," he mocked. Zabuza chuckled, "So you copied my jutsu, hiding in the trees and waiting to strike. Clever." He swung his blade towards Kakashi, who ducked under it and slashed his own kunai as a counter. However, the force behind Zabuza's blade was much more than Kakashi anticipated, and almost went down to his knees. Zabuza did not hesitate in giving a chakra-enforced kick to Kakashi, who was unable to dodge in time. Gritting his teeth, he crossed his arms and blocked it. He was rewarded with promptly being sent flying over into the water. Surfacing, he instantly knew something was wrong. The water was too heavy. Too slow. Zabuza said as he appeared behind Kakashi, weaving hand seals. Suiton, Suiro no Jutsu. Water style, water prison jutsu. In a matter of seconds, Kakashi was trapped in a dome of water maintained by Zabuza. Though both of them didn't notice Naruto's smile, having successfully copied the jutsu. None of you know what it means to be a ninja. When I was your age, brats, I already had blood on my hands. Sakura asked, what do you mean? Kakashi said, he is talking about the reason he became known as the Demon of the Mist. 15 years ago, a child killed over 100 students. A child who wasn't even a ninja. Naruto lamely uttered, oh. However, he was quick to recover. Well, here goes. Kakashi tried to stop him. Don't, Naruto. We have lost. Take the client and run. Hell no, sensei. We are not going without our team leader. You still owe us some real training. Naruto was about to use the water chain jutsu to disrupt Zabuza's control on the prison, but was forced to dodge the water clone that tried to take his head off. His heart was pumping, his adrenaline levels rising, his mind entering battle focus. He complimented Zabuza, using a jutsu while maintaining another one. That's some really impressive chakra control. He easily weaved between the slashes. Zabuza, the clone, chuckled, thanks kid. You aren't too bad yourself, dodging my strikes like that. Naruto flipped back, putting some distance between him and the clone. Well, having a giant butcher knife like that doesn't exactly do you a favor in the department of speed, pal, he offhandedly commented. Forming the hair sign, he thought, Suiton, Mizurappa. Water style, wild water wave, a wave of water rushed at the clone from his mouth, who jumped up to dodge. Smirking, Naruto formed the half-ram to weave the water towards the clone, who couldn't dodge mid-air. He was expelled into water. Not wasting any time, Naruto maintained the half-ram and formed over 20 shadow clones, who moved to engage the real Zabuza, who scoffed and easily dealt with them with his blade one by one. While this was happening, Naruto took the opportunity to shake Sasuke out of his stupor. Gripping his shoulders tightly, he harshly whispered, "Get your head back in the game, Sasuke. I need your help to free Kakashi-sensei." It seemed to do the trick as Sasuke snapped back into awareness. In a moment of acknowledging Naruto as leader, he asked, "What should we do?" Naruto unrolled his scroll and slapped his hand onto a seal. A puff of smoke revealed a Fuma shuriken, folded. Naruto rolled the scroll back and slung it. All of this happened in just 10 seconds. He handed the folded shuriken to Sasuke, who glared at him. A simple Fuma shuriken won't work, dobe. Naruto thrust it into his hands anyway, an impatient look on his face that said, "Just follow my lead." As soon as Sasuke held it, a look of realization came onto his face and he looked at Naruto with wide eyes, who smirked and winked at him. A predatory smirk of his own appeared as he prepared to follow Naruto's plan. Zabuza had just finished off the clones when he spotted the Uchiha holding a Fuma shuriken and running at him. The brat leaped impressively high and threw it at him. Zabuza was not impressed. He simply plucked the shuriken from air as if catching a frisbee. "Is that all you can think of, brats?" Suddenly, another shuriken appeared, hidden in the shadow of the first. Zabuza scoffed angrily, "You are underestimating me, brats. Still not good enough." He simply jumped over the shuriken, his other hand still maintaining the water prison. "Got him," Sasuke murmured with a smirk as Naruto beside him disappeared into smoke. Zabuza's eyes widened as he heard a poof behind him, seeing the second shuriken turning into Naruto, who had a kunai in hand. Naruto figured with a tiny smirk that just throwing a kunai won't do the job, so he would let loose the flying thunder god just this once. The kunai he was holding had his jutsu shiki on the handle. Just to maintain the appearance of a kawarimi, he had another kunai ready. He threw the kunai with his formula towards Zabuza, who cursed mentally. I can't dodge that unless. He released his hold from the water prison, jumping to the side. Just as the kunai cut Zabuza, Naruto threw the normal kunai a little bit upwards beside him and vanished in a blue flash, holding the handle of the marked kunai in his left hand. Spinning mid-air once, he landed a clean, open palm thrust into Zabuza's chest, who was too stunned at the fact that Naruto appeared in front of him in an instant. The purpose of the thrust was not to injure, but rather to mark Zabuza, so he would know where he is. Still, Zabuza skid back a few feet from Naruto, who landed on the water. Zabuza glanced to where Naruto had thrown the kunai from. He saw the kunai buried in a rock over there. Was that Kawarimi? No, if it was, the brat wouldn't snatch the kunai mid-air, but would appear with the kunai. Just what was that? His thoughts were spinning furiously as he gazed at Naruto, who was now holding two kunai in reverse grip, dark blue wind chakra sharpening them into mini swords. He can use Futon and Suiton ninjutsu, has enough chakra to use the shadow clone jutsu without worry, his chakra control is good enough for him to water walk, and he can use wind chakra to sharpen his kunai? Is he a genin for real? He dashed towards Naruto, who prepared to flash step away and if necessary, defend himself. That's enough from you, brat. Just as he was about to stab Naruto, he was blocked by none other than Kakashi. He had halted the sword using a reverse-gripped kunai, rage swimming in his eyes. You've got some nerve. The whisper was deadly enough that even Naruto shivered a bit. He was not only angry at himself for making a rookie mistake and getting himself caught, but the man had the gall to attack his genin. Your trick won't work twice, Zabuza, he promised the man, slowly. Without turning his gaze away, he spoke to Naruto, brilliant plan, Naruto. Distracting Zabuza by getting Sasuke to help you. Excellent job. Zabuza tsuked, I lost concentration for a moment and cancelled the technique dash. Don't give yourself too much credit. You were forced to cancel it, Kakashi's sharp voice cut it. Naruto nodded and seeing his work was done, he put the kunai away and Flash stepped back to Sasuke, who jumped a bit at his suddenness. He observed Kakashi, who had jumped away from Zabuza and was using the power of the Sharingan to its full effect. Immediately, he put his index and middle finger into the water, eyes on Kakashi's hands and senses on his chakra. He carefully sensed how chakra was being molded inside Kakashi. After a chain of 44 hand seals, two identical water dragons appeared, taking each other out. Zabuza moved in to engage Kakashi with his blade, while Kakashi parried back. They continued this for 2 minutes, after which Zabuza jumped back, starting a new series of hand signs. Kakashi wasted no time in copying them, and Naruto wasted no time in using his own style to copy Kakashi. Sasuke was in a daze, seeing the power of the Sharingan so close. Did he really copy all the hand seals? My moves. He is, Zabuza thought, before they were interrupted. Reading them. Kakashi said, finishing Zabuza's thought. Did he read my mind? He is. Really pissing me off with that damn eye of his. Kakashi finished, for Zabuza. Continuing to copy Zabuza's hand signs. Continuing with his hand seals with Kakashi copying Zabuza, the man yelled, all you're doing is copying me. You can't beat me with those cheap circus tricks, you monkey bastard. Kakashi yelling the same thing, continued to copy hand signs. Zabuza came to a slight stop, seeing an image of himself behind Kakashi. What is that, a genjutsu? Zabuza thought. His slight falter cost him the victory as Kakashi finished the jutsu ahead of him, Suetun, Daibakufu no Jutsu. Water style, giant vortex jutsu. Literally, a giant vortex formed around Kakashi, much larger than his body. It approached Zabuza at incredible speeds, who was unable to do anything. It slammed into him, and he was washed away like an insect under the force of the jutsu, slamming roughly into a tree and leaving him dazed. Kakashi approached Zabuza with a kunai in hand, intent on finishing him off. Groaning in pain and bracing himself for his death, Zabuza asked him, "Can you see the future?" Kakashi answered, "Yes, and your future is death." Naruto's sweat dropped. What a corny guy. Just as Kakashi was about to finish the job, two Senbon came out of nowhere, hitting Zabuza in the neck. The man fell to the ground with a thud. All of them looked around to spot where the Senbon came from, but Naruto pointed towards a tree, from which came a soft chuckle. A masked person was standing on a branch. "Looks like you were right." The person had long black hair along with a slender frame. The outfit was Kirigakure pinstriped, which stopped at his knees. There was a brown sash around the waist with a tail, wrapped around twice. But the most identifying thing about the person was the mask they wore. It was white with thin, curved eye holes and a red wavy design in place of the mouth, as well as the Kirigakure symbol etched in the top. The person was a hunter nin. Naruto couldn't quite place the voice as female or male. It was unsettling. He would assume it as a male, though. "I thank you for your help," he said as he jumped down. Kakashi knelt and checked Zabuza's pulse to see if the man was truly dead or not. Finding nothing, he concluded that Zabuza was dead. "I have been hunting him for quite a while," he said. Picking up the body, he prepared to shunshin away when Naruto's voice rang out. "Wait!" The hunter nin turned to face Naruto's narrowed eyes. "As a hunter nin, isn't it your job to dispose the bodies on the spot?" The hunter nin saw the suspicion in the blonde's eyes and explained, "This body holds many secrets. The village would like to know them before doing that." With that, he was gone. Kakashi pulled his headband down. "Well, that is over with," and promptly fell face first into the ground. Sakura rushed to him. "Kakashi-sensei." She turned him over to see that his eye was closed. "It's probably chakra exhaustion, Sakura." She turned towards Naruto. He explained, "The Sharingan is an Uchiha Kekkai Genkai. It is not meant for him and as such, consumes his chakra faster. He just needs time to recover." Tazuna spoke up, "Well, in that case, let's hurry to my house where he can recover safely." Naruto nodded and created 3 shadow clones. One of them hinged into a stretcher while the other 2 put the exhausted Jonin on it and started walking. Sasuke walked beside Naruto. "Hey Naruto," the said boy looked at him, "how did you know about the demon brothers before they attacked us? And what was that earlier, putting your fingers in the water?" Naruto turned to him, confused, "Haven't I told you before that I am a censor?" Sasuke's eyes immediately narrowed at him. "What?" Naruto sighed, "This will take a while." Meanwhile, back in the village, the Sandaime was sitting in the meeting room with the Shinobi Council on one side and the Civilian Council on the other. The 3 elders, Hamura, Koharu and Danzo, stood on his right side. A civilian spoke up, "Why have you called this meeting, Hokage-sama?" Hiruzen did not reply to this, eyes closed and expression of deep thought. At last he spoke. "Do you all, especially the Civilian Council," he glared at the mentioned council, "know why the Civilian Council was established by my sensei, Naidame-sama?" There was no answer from both the sides, but the elders and Shikaku seemed to grasp the true purpose of the meeting from the question. Koharu moved forward. "Hokage-sama, you can't dash." She was silenced with a wave of killing intent. It made one thing very clear in everyone's heads, he is in a bad mood today. To assist the Shinobi Council in times of war. Last I checked, Konoha hasn't been at war for the last 15 years. Therefore, your entire existence is debunk. Outraged cries came from the civilian section, but killer intent from the shinobi side for interrupting the Hokage silenced them. The Hokage glared at them. If anyone interrupts me one more time, I will have that person executed. Understood? He enforced that threat with killing intent. After seeing their urgent nods, he continued. The only reason, and I have checked the records thoroughly, he said, motioning to the big pile of paperwork beside him, that the only reason they exist is because of political mongering and bribing some members of the Shinobi Council. His eyes swept the entire room, intensifying the tension. My hands were tied after the Kyuubi's attack and the Uchiha massacre. The civilian council took advantage of this and began to take charge of more important tasks by bribing the shinobi side, he said while glaring at the two elders, who didn't even look into his eyes. Until they finally managed to get their hands on the Shinobi Academy, the most important stage of the shinobi's career. Changing the syllabus and actually lowering the standard of shinobi, the council gradually became more corrupt. Tell me if I'm wrong, he finished, practically glaring at everyone and daring them to disagree. Danzo grit his teeth. The civilian council was easily manipulated and as such, was a form of power that he could control, not the Hokage. But it seemed Sarutobi had finally had enough of their bullshit and was going to dissolve the council. The worst about all of this, he could not lift a finger to do anything without resorting to Shirsue's eye, and he would rather die than attempt something that foolish. No one spoke in the council room, which was enough of an answer that the Hokage had hit the bullseye. I will hold a vote now. To dissolve the civilian council, he declared. A fat man stood up, face red and red, to shout at the Hokage. He didn't even finish the first word that came out of his mouth before his head rolled on the ground, courtesy of the ANBU. They cleaned up and vanished back into the shadows. Suddenly seeming to remember something, he turned to the elders. Before I commence the vote, the elders will not be voting, seeing that their position only allows them to advise and as such, have no say in any final decision made by the Hokage. Koharu and Hamura had a defeated posture. Heads down, shoulders sagged, an aura of dismay. Danzo simply stared ahead, not showing any emotions. Sarutobi had caught them totally unawares with this maneuver. All against dissolving the civilian council on basis of the charges that I have read. The entire civilian side raised their hands, but they knew that they were defeated. All in favor of dissolving the civilian council on basis of the charges I have read. The entire shinobi side raised their hands. Their numbers were equal to that of the civilians, but the air of smugness was unmistakable in the room. A tie-breaking vote was required of the Hokage, who said, I am in favor of this notion. Straightening up, he declared, the civilian council is dissolved as of today. I will appoint a shinobi committee to review all the corrupted laws they have passed related in favor of themselves. A separate division will be responsible for reviewing shinobi areas. The civilian council can leave now. All of them slowly got up, an air of defeat around them all. They filed out of the chamber one by one. The elders, please leave, I have some important things to discuss with the shinobi clan heads. The elders couldn't protest against this as well. Clan business was serious, and no one, even the Hokage, was to interfere unless it concerned the integrity of the village. As soon as they left the room, Hiruzen snapped his fingers. An ANBU appeared with a scroll held in his hand. He put it on the Hokage's desk and went back to his post. A signal from the Hokage caused all the ANBU to leave the room. Hiruzen opened it, revealing it to be a storage scroll. He slapped his hand on the scroll and in a puff of smoke, a bottle of sake and the same number of cups as the shinobi council appeared. Hiruzen smirked, who wants drinks?